when I was in graduate school in Detroit at Wayne State, which has since become Wayne State, it was Wayne University now, or then, the head of the program was apologizing for including 4 women in his 12-person class that had been set up as a way to train people for municipal research agencies. This was in '46.
So that women weren't usually doing research back then?
Before the war was ended, that I went there. And then he was saying it was because the war was so hard to recruit people for this kind of graduate program that he was setting up, that he got 4 women. And he was saying afterward that the 4 he had were all young, all good-looking, all very bright, and the best you could hope for was when after they got married, they would join the League of Women Voters, keeping them off of the municipal research programs that he wanted to feed his people into.
So it basically said, go into the kitchen, stay in the kitchen, get pregnant, and I'm just letting you in because I need the bodies. That's basically
that's right. That was it. But when we moved out here from Philadelphia, then I got involved with the local league here, and I got involved to help with the preparation of a Know Your Township program. I remember I had a hard time getting anybody to accept my check. You know, they were not very well organized in those days. In the back of my head was this thing that Dr. Upson had said about the League of Women Voters, and most that he could hope for from his women graduates was they would go in the league. Charlotte Cadbury was the president at that time.
And this was in the late 50s? 55?
No, this was the early 60s.
Early 60s.
By the time I got to be president, a couple of years later, it had about 130 members in it, something like that.
Wow.
And at that time, it was one of the smaller leagues. You know,
Wow.
people did join the league in those days. You could have affiliate members, which were men, but it wasn't until the 1970s that the league nationally was open to men members. Well, I was president of the state league in the 70s, but I was president of the local league in 63 and 4. And I left the local presidency to go on the state board. And in time for the 68-69 Constitutional Convention, and I was the board member who attended the many sessions of the Constitutional Convention, of the State Constitutional Convention of 68-69. The league had been established back in the late 40s, the Haverford League, and there had been a league in Delaware County starting way back in 1920 when the league was first established by that name. You know, it had been a suffragette organization before. So the local league had an existence dating clear back to 1920 when the National League was first established. And then the league nationally fell on hard times in the 1930s during the Depression. It was made up at that time of a congeries of state leagues. It wasn't a membership organization at that time. It was made up of the state leagues. In the 1940s, they went through a very painful process of becoming a membership organization instead of this congeries of state leagues. And at that time, they were setting it up by local leagues. Membership was so large. We had units in the morning, we had units in the afternoon, and I established some evening units at that time, where a committee took the same program to each of these smaller groups of people who fit in people's living rooms. They didn't have, hire a hall. We met exclusively in people's houses.
So there were, a unit was like a subgroup of the league, and was it like set up by neighborhood or?
Yeah, mostly by neighborhood or by interest. If you had kids who were in kindergarten in the morning, you can go to the afternoon to the morning unit, or depends on your personal arrangements.
Wow. So if you were an officer in the league or making one of these presentations, you had to be really devoted because you'd have to do it 3 different times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the Haverford League had been long established by that time.